Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's video I'm going to show you guys a cool and easy trick which you guys can use to discover some new and beautiful chord voicings. So this trick is based around the idea of chord inversion, specifically the idea of using inversion to find new chord shapes. To review the theory behind the inversions of chords, this is the idea that we can take the pitches of any chord and rearrange the order in which the pitches are played while still having the chord's original aural characteristics stay roughly intact. This is as long as we change only the order of the pitches and not the pitches themselves. As in, we could take the bass note of a chord and move it to, say, the upper voice or the middle voice, or vice versa. And when we do this reordering, amazingly, as said before, to our ears the aural characteristics of the original chord shape stay intact, but we get a slightly modified sound. For instance, we can take a C chord, spelled C-E-G, where C is the bass note, E is the middle, and G is the highest voice, and we can swap the order of any of the notes in this chord and we'll still have a C chord sound. So we can actually have a C chord which is spelled as G-C-E, or E-G-C, and I think these have a little bit more tension in their sound than the root position version of this chord, which is C-E-G. I'll play these one more time and see if you can hear the difference. Basically then, as long as we only change the order of the pitches and not the pitches themselves, any of these new voicings, in this case related to C, could just be thought of as some iteration of a C chord. With that out of the way then, we can move on to the trick. For the trick then, this is the idea that we can take familiar chord voicings that we really like, and we can apply this inversion theory to find new chord voicings that share roughly the same color. What we have to do then is the following. Number 1, pick a chord voicing that sounds good. This is best done starting with a root position chord, meaning the actual root of the chord is in the bass. In this case, I like C major 9 with no third. Next up, we need to look for the note names and the tones of the chord itself so that we know what note names to look for when we're designing a new voicing. Recall again that we're not adding any new pitches to this new voicing, we're just changing the order to which the pitches are played. For example then, instead of playing the root in this chord, perhaps we would play something like the fifth. Anyways, going back to this chord, it has the pitches C, G, B, and D, with C in the bass and D in the highest part. Okay, next up, this is the heart of the exercise. We want to take our first chord here, and we want to move each chord tone up to the nearest available chord tone on the same string. So starting with our original chord voicing, we have C in the bass, so we're going to move up to the next available chord tone on this A string right here, which is D, which is 2 frets up higher than C. So D is going to be the bass note of our new voicing. Next up, let's take like a G, which is the second tone in our original voicing. This guy's going to jump up to B, which is the nearest available chord tone on the same string. And for the third tone, we had B, which is on the G string. This guy's going to jump up to C, and finally D, which is the top voice of the C major 9, is going to jump up to G. If we put it all together, it'll sound like this. And we can call this a C major 9 no third over D, since D is in the bass. As an aside, I just want to mention quickly that this is a good activity to actually do on paper. What I do usually is I will take the notes of these chords and I'll write them all out. And I'll just think about what the nearest available chord tone is, and I'll write them out right underneath each other, just so that it's a little easier to manage, so I'm not kind of keeping track of shapes and stuff like that. So what I'll do once I have it all written out is I'll take all of my chord spellings and I'll just map them out onto the fretboard. If you can do it this way, it might be a little quicker at first, and it's a good test of your interval knowledge. Anyways, for the next step, what we have to do is repeat this process. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to start with the new voicing here. So we'll take each note and move them up to the nearest available chord tone. In this case, D is going to move up to G, G is going to move up to C, C here is going to move up to D, and this G is going to jump up to B. So we should have something that looks like this. Now, this can be quite a stretch, and some of these voicings are going to be really hard to play, so what I might recommend here is actually to move the B to the E string here and play it like this. Though if you play it this way, then you have to use hybrid picking, whereas if you play it with the first way I did, then you can strum it. And yeah, this new voicing is going to be called C major 9 no third over G, since G is now in the bass. Remember that we moved from D up to the closest chord tone, which was G, making that G the bass note. So finally, we can build one more chord voicing where the 7th of a C major 9 will be in the bass, and it's going to sound like this. And now that we have that, we have 3 new chord voicings which have been derived from our original C major 9 root position shape. And they sound like this in sequence. We have root position, we have the 9th in the bass, we have the 5th in the bass, and the 7th in the bass. They sound pretty nice to me. So yeah, I really recommend that you guys give this exercise a go, because in addition to finding some new chords, it's also a great intellectual exercise. It's good for your fretboard knowledge, memorization of notes, and chord knowledge. And those kind of things are important to know if you want to get better at guitar. Okay, before we wrap up today, I just want to quickly talk about some naming conventions for these inverted chords. First off, when you invert chords, it's important to relate them to the root position voicing. This is in terms of how you perceive them and also how you write them. So, for example, if you're going to play something like a C major 9, but with the 9 in the bass, then still think of it as a C major 9 chord, but as I've been doing all along, with the 9th in the bass. And the convention for this is pretty easy. You just take the root position name, in this case C major 9, you add a slash, and then you put the name of the bass note after the slash. So C major 9, no third, slash D, meaning D in the bass, or C major 9, no third, slash G, meaning G in the bass. Also, when the root of a chord is in the bass, we call that root position. When the third of a chord is in the bass, we call that first inversion. When the 5th of the chord is in the bass, that's second inversion. And when the 7th of a chord is in the bass, we call that third inversion, and so on. Alright folks, so there you have it. If you like this video, then please make sure to like, share, and subscribe as I put out a new video every single week. And if you want to support the channel, then please consider checking out my Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you guys will have access to some bonus content like guitar tabs, lesson notes, chord diagrams, and other goodies like that. Honestly, the Patreon page really helps me out, as it allows me to get some extra equipment to make these videos better. And finally, I also teach lessons through Skype. There's a link to my email address in the description below. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.